This is episode 2 of my mini interview series called Strength Is Overrated, where I interview a few people in my life that I believe are strong people. My new single, Strength Is Overrated, is out now on all streaming platforms. Hello, I'm so excited to be here. Everybody, this is Cava, also known as Miss Menzies. Cava is a multidisciplinary musician. You are a visual artist. You are an educator. She's also just an exceptional human being, and also was my teacher when I went to Oakland School for the Arts. Also the director and founder of Collab Choir. I'm so honored to be here, so honored to be able to talk to you. We're just going to ask a few questions today. Beautiful. You can answer them as honestly and as beautifully as you'd like. My first question for you is, what does strength mean to you, especially in moments when you don't feel strong at all?
First of all, thank you for having me, Julissa. It's really a really special full circle moment to have these moments as like former student teacher. But then, you know, as you get older and as I get older, we go into the world and then we're just navigating the world. And so to get to have these kind of conversations is really meaningful to me. Because it's really about just how do we survive life? How do we use principles and things that we learn along the way? And then also how do we share those tools with each other? So this is a beautiful opportunity. Thank you. So strength is an interesting word. It's funny because I use other words to kind of mean the same thing as strength. I always say I'm small but mighty, or like small but fierce. Which I think I'm really talking about inner strength. To me, strength is really about perseverance is a big part of strength, is like kind of relentlessly showing up every day, regardless of what's happening. That has been like a big theme in my life, is just making sure I'm present, making sure that I'm meeting the moment. I also think of strength as an attitude, and I think it's an inner thing. It's obviously not a physical thing, and I think we know that's not what we're talking about. It's really like your emotional, spiritual, mental fortitude to withstand the things that life throws at you. And, you know, as I get older, it's like the things keep coming and the lessons are larger, or they're more complex, or they're more nuanced. And so for me, strength has meant so much. Like, it's interesting because it doesn't just mean muscling through something. I also feel like strength is surrender. And that was a really hard one and kind of a recent lesson for me, because I'm used to willing things into place or having an idea, or if I'm going through something challenging, always like finding a solution and kind of like pushing my way into the answer was a big part of my early life. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that there are some things that I can't change, or it's not like I may get an outcome that I want, but it's not necessarily the best outcome. So for me, spirituality has been a huge factor in my sense of strength and in leaning on something greater than myself, leaning on God, leaning on principles of faith that I feel like I'm not alone, and drawing on something within myself and you know, in just world of the spiritual world that I think really informs everything that happens. And so, yeah, I think that's a big part of strength. I also feel like a piece of strength is in how you speak to yourself too. I think that comes into play of just like, what are the things, like being aware of your mental commentary as you're going through difficult moments. And there's a lot to be learned just observing yourself during challenging times. And I think the things that have been really hard for me to overcome, it's really interesting to watch my mind during it. And, you know, it's like you can have the negative self-talk to begin with, and then theres something that yes.
Really reveals you.
Yeah.
When you go through difficult times.
Absolutely. And for me, it's been like times on my knees, like face, like literally up in this room right there, like literally on my knees, face to the floor, crying or sniveling, just like these moments where I love that you said it's revealing, because it really is. And I think as, you know, women, I think there's this idea of if you're a woman that's a mom, or if you're accomplishing things or whatever it might be, there's sort of this like idea of a strong woman. I think all women are strong.
Yeah.
Number one, very similar to your mom. I've been a single parent as well. And so there's a strength that I've had to draw from that I didn't think I had. As a parent, you just find this strength that it's like, where did that come from? What pocket of me? I didn't even know that existed. There's something so beautiful about caring for somebody that you've, carried within your body and birthed, and you really do never know a love like that kind of love that you have for your child. And then just the strength of what it takes to just do the day to day that, you would hope would be like a 2-person job. In my case, it wasn't. My son's father and I split up when my son was 6 months old. So pretty much from then on, I was raising my son and was always drawing upon this like inner well of just like, I can do it. And I remember not wanting to be a statistic and not sort of wanting to be the trope of a single mother. Like I didn't claim that often. Like I did do it partially on my own. I mean, I know part of this conversation is about the village too, and people that we leaned on. And so there were many moments that I had to lean on family or lean on friends, or I've met some beautiful people along the way that I call my angels in my life that have really stepped in and beyond just family been really a support system for me and for my son as well. So that's been really powerful too.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love that it's revealing ourselves, but also it's required allowing people in, which is not easy. No, it's really hard. It's revealing. So hard. It's so revealing. You don't want to bring people into the ugly parts.
Yeah. Can I say something about that? Yeah. I think it's also, like you said, just not wanting to bring people into the ugly parts is like the world that you know me through, which is like OSA and very social. And I have like a big community, but I'm really actually a pretty private person and internal with my stuff. And I think some people really restore themselves around other people. I always restore myself on my own. And so, it's like if I'm going through things, like I'll see y'all in 2 weeks, or like a month, but like I would rather kind of like tap out of life and then come back when I'm well. Just to be real, I kind of grew up in a family that was like, suck it up and get over it and like pull yourself up by your bootstraps quickly, like don't cry over that for more than 2 days. And it was like, I'm a deeply feeling person. I'm a musician and an artist, and so yeah. And so I think there's always like a little bit of a worry that I might be a burden, or just, I think maybe like some embarrassment around not being strong. And so I think that also is a strength in just actually allowing yourself to feel the myriad of things that you feel and, being honest about it with trusted people that, hold you in the highest light, but also allow you to unfold and unravel too. And so that's been some learning for me and kind of some unlearning from my childhood that actually can feel the full range of things, and that's the full aspect of strength that will ultimately at the end help me really channel a greater kind of strength to make it through.
Yeah. My second question for you is, can you share a moment you thought you had to be strong on your own, but learned that leaning on someone else or asking for help was part of your strength?
I don't know if this is too like graphic or detailed and personal, but for me, it was actually my labor with my son. I had a home birth. My son's father, we had agreed that we were going to do a home birth in our home in East Oakland at the time. And my labor ended up lasting for 63 hours. So it was like like almost 3 days. And partway through, I felt like I was dying, like, and not just the like labor version of like, oh, this hurts and I'm dying. But I really started to get these signals in my body that I got really fearful, and I really started to feel like, okay, something's wrong. I think being in it for that long, not sleeping, not really eating, being in that kind of pain, just constant pain for that long. And at the time, my midwife was also pregnant. I think at the time she was maybe 4 or 5 months pregnant. So she was going through her own set of needs of like eating and sleeping and not really being as present for me as I had hoped. And without getting into too much detail, my son's father and I got in an argument. He was arguing with me because I was saying I want to go to the hospital. I think something's wrong. And he was insisting that I stay home, and you promised me a home birth. And it was just this crazy moment where I thought, I think I'm dying. It was the middle of the night. It was like my second night of labor. And I don't think I've ever felt as alone. That's like the closest I think I've come to death. I remember the last thing the midwife said to me, which is such a crazy thing to say, and then go to the back room. And she said, if there's a God that you pray to, like, call on God now. And then like walked to the back room and made everybody leave me. And I'm in a birthing tub and they close the door. And then it's just me laboring by myself. I think I've never felt so alone. And I was doing everything in my power to like get out of labor. You know, it was like, there must be another way to get this baby out, but except that I'm at home and nobody's going to take me to the hospital. Nobody's taking me seriously with what I'm saying. Probably like the deepest despair I think I've ever felt. I had a friend named Hannah. She was my one childhood friend, and she went against what everybody said, and she opened the door. I heard the door open, and she crawled to my front door, which was maybe like 30 feet from me, and it's all pitch black. And she said, "Cav, I just want you to know they're telling me I can't come in the room with you, but I'm right here. I'm 30 feet away. Wow. I'm going to sleep on the floor by the front door, and just call on me." And every time I'd go through a contraction, she'd say, "I'm here." Wow. And I'm not leaving you. And she stayed through the night, just slept. I don't even know if she had a blanket or what it was. And it was really like a lifeline, you know, and we need friends that are willing to like defy the circumstances to really like show up for us in those moments of need. You know, ultimately got through it, but it was deeply traumatizing for me. And of course, once I got through it, I was so grateful to have a baby. But I mean, I really hurt my body in the process. And yeah, I think that kind of strength that was required to muscle through that, to like push past the fear. And then also, you know, I didn't necessarily like ask my friend for help, but I think that was also just like her really hearing it in the tone of my voice that I needed help, and I was really scared. And to have somebody show up in a moment where I felt like everybody was abandoning me was huge. And I'm like forever indebted to her. I think, you know, people that are with you when it's like life or death stuff, you carry that with you for life. So I'm forever grateful.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Hope it's not too graphic.
No,
okay.
Too graphic.
Okay.
You never know who that could relate to.
Yeah.
You know, we've all experienced in one way or another.
Yeah.
Where we felt abandoned, and we were like, I have no idea at this point where my help is going to come from.
Exactly.
And even though, yes, you're a strong person.
Yeah.
You're like, this is
not too much.
Time.
Yeah. And it was like
physically, mentally, everything exhausted.
Yeah.
This is the moments that we need people. Nothing's too graphic when we're talking about it. Being human beings that have all gone through these things, and sometimes a lot of us suffer alone,
right,
or in silence.
Right.
We usually don't know the gravity of what everybody's going through.
Yeah.
Wow.
It really impacted me. But so whenever anything is hard in my life, I'm always like, but remember that moment, and that's my reference point.
I love that you said that, because sometimes we were just talking about this before we even started recording. Like sometimes we're like still trying to understand why did we go through that. And I love that you're saying that it can serve as a reminder, like, I can do hard things.
Yes.
And also, not that I can do hard things, there's people that love and care about me that will come beside me. You know, I'm not alone. I can get through it. Not that it's not going to be hard, but there is another side. There's another side to it. So absolutely. I love that you can look at it as to serve the purpose of reminding you that I can get through this. Yeah. If I can do that.
Yeah. I can do anything. That's like always my thing. You know, and it doesn't matter what it is, where they're like, "Are you prepared for this?" I'm like, you have no idea. Like, absolutely. Yeah.
You're like, I labored for 3 days. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. For listening. It's a beautiful story. But if that was the beginning of it, to bring in your son into the world, I think already showed you and showed your son like resilience and from the beginning,
and that we're a team. I mean, I think that like solidified, because it's like we were doing the labor, and we were together, and like we're both gonna survive, and we're both gonna stay alive. And I feel like that's our bond, our forever bond.
I love that. That's beautiful. Well, my third question for you is, what's something people misunderstand about you because they think you're strong?
I mean, I think I get comments a lot that that my life is together. You know, like
that always
yeah, like people are just always like, oh, you have like it all together, or you have so much going on. And I don't feel that way. I mean, I feel like through like years and years of dedication and persistence and like just full commitment to what I feel like is my calling, what I believe is my calling, which is like music and teaching and community and connecting people. These things have been able to come together. But yeah, I don't know if it's like tied to strength per se, but I think I am always perceived as like strong or getting through it. I think also because I'm a private person, I don't always show people the trials that I'm going through. And I don't know whether that's good or bad. Like I'm actually working on, you know, being discerning about like when to reveal and when to keep stuff close or just stuff, you know, to keep it between me and God. I go through a lot of ups and downs emotionally. I go through trials and tribulations. I think there's a pressure too in being a teacher, like being a role model or just being somebody that's in front of young people. You're sort of expected in some ways to not be human, you know, or like you're just sort of like a version of humanity, but like you can't reveal some of the other things that are really going on. And so it's this interesting kind of like deep relationship. And, you know, I mean, clearly we're here together is like, I really treat my students like family. I really want to exude like love and connection and give them a sense of like having an older mentor that's going to stay with them for life. So there's that. But truthfully, even in like working with Collab Choir, where I'm working with folks that are former students, where I'm, you know, we've been having conversations about like, I actually just need to be Cava, like the full person that's Cava. And even though you know me in the context of being a teacher, I have to actually be the fullness of myself to lead in the ways that I want to. And also because we have rehearsals in my home and it's like, sometimes my kitchen's messy. Sometimes, you know what, I might be going through something. And there's a humanity in it that I think is really important to share, especially as we get older. And it's been a really beautiful process for me to like kind of redevelop relationships with people where they saw me perhaps in one way and now are seeing the fullness. And it's really freeing for me, and I think kind of freeing for them too, where they can reveal stuff about themselves too, which is really nice. You know, this is my 22nd year teaching high school, and you know, I'm teaching in the context of a school and an institution, but God, I really feel like young people actually need the fullness of the adults that are around them. And like some of the hiding and protecting and shielding that we do, whether it's as a parent or as a teacher, I actually don't feel like it's like a disservice to young people, because then they're not prepared for the realities of life, where it's like you painted it this way, but like what about all these other things? And yeah, it makes me really curious about where the places that we can just like unmask, fully be ourselves, really talk about what it means to be human and all the complexities of it and all the beautiful things about it too. And I love that you're having this conversation around strength, you know, and yeah, it's something that I hadn't even really thought about in this way. So this is really nice.
When I wrote this song, I'm also somebody, you know, that's been labeled like, you're so strong, you know, being the strong one or the strong friend, which I think I took so much pride in, and maybe I took on too much to an extent that I was like, why do I feel resentful? Why am I exhausted? And then why is it when things happen, I can't manage to ask for help in the way that I know that I would have no problem showing up for others. And,
is it
you know,
pride, or like, do you feel embarrassed when you need help, or what
I
is
don't,
it for you?
I think it's maybe, I think it'll definitely have some embarrassment because it is very vulnerable. And those are the times I challenge, like, am I really vulnerable? Because why can I ask for help? Maybe it is a little pride or just like, you just don't get it. I don't want to have to explain, you know, what everything that's going on, you know, and it is protecting yourself. And I'm sure that's a result of things we go through and just wanting to protect yourself, even in the moments where you need help, which is weird.
Such a weird thing.
Such a weird thing.
Do you need protecting at that time? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
But I, you know, at this point of my life when I wrote it, this was just like a journal entry. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in this journal right here, where I was just like, you know what? Strength is for the birds. Like, I'm tired. And I definitely got to the point I can recognize in the moment when you're talking about laboring, where it's like you finally get to a breaking point that you're like, I need help.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, I don't care if you see me
undone.
all undone. I need help. And that's the point I got to, after going through car accident, issues with family and losing my dad. It was all at once too. It wasn't like there was breaks in between. It was one after the other that I was like, this is not even human anymore. Like I quite literally can't keep going. That I was like, I guess strength means I have to surrender my strength. And in that, there is a scripture that talks about, I will boast all the more about my weakness if it means it's going to glorify you. And actually, my weakness does glorify you. In my weakness, I am strong. So I was like, okay, so if the Lord's saying that even in my weakness, I am strong, what do I have to lose? So that's how Strength Is Overrated came to be.
Ugh. It really is overrated.
It is overrated.
It's so funny that we're talking so much about strength because it is overrated. That's such a great scripture.
Yeah. Well, I just have one last question for you. If someone watching this is going through something hard right now, what would you want them to hear, or what would you want to say to them right now?
I think I would say to somebody that's going through something hard is first really take the time to feel everything. It's hard going through something hard. I think, we were just talking about sometimes the outside pressure to suck it up or get over it quickly or, get over your grief quickly or whatever it might be. And so I would say that you are in control of your process and you have the right to feel every aspect of your process. It's a personal process that only has a timeline that's specific to you. And so I think just really taking the time to reflect and feel everything is really important. I would also say just be really aware of your own thought process and pay attention to how you're speaking to yourself in it. There's this philosophy and it's called the second arrow. And it's like the first wound that you get is from the whatever thing happens. But oftentimes we inflict the second arrow on ourselves. And our second arrow comes from things like saying to yourself, like, why am I not over this? Or like, why am I making this such a big deal? Or making yourself feel guilty for your process. And that sometimes we can compound the pain of whatever we're going through with that, where it's really like if you can remove all of those like shoulds and this is how I should go through this or what I should feel and really just deal with the thing at hand. I think that's really important. All I can share is for me, because I don't know how it is for everybody. For me, going through something challenging, stripped away any like BS, any extra stuff that it's like stripped me to my core. And I remember being on my knees right there. I felt like I had lost everything. And I remember hearing the voice of God that said, your essence is love, and that essence can never be destroyed. And no matter what you feel is taken from you, this can never be taken from you. The core essence of your spirit and who you are. That was a revelation for me because, there's like the worldly things that can be taken from us, but that's just worldly stuff. There's something core to our being that is infinitely alive and infinitely strong. And so that really became my source of strength. That helped me through. And I felt like that spark would kind of continue to grow each and every day. And I think the last thing I'd say is just like really develop some great self-care practices. So whether it's like taking a bath, sleeping a lot, for me it was like sensory deprivation, and I know you can probably relate to this, was like literally closing my eyes or having no sounds or no stimulation, just as a way to really get back to myself and kind of come back to the core. So I don't know if it's advice, but that's what helped me.
I think a hard thing is that we're always trying to get back to who we were before. But the thing is, you have to give yourself permission to change, because there's no way you're not going to change after you go through something really difficult.
Yeah.
As hard as that is to accept and to surrender that, you're going to change. Yeah. And you also need to find people around you that are going to be okay with that change and not try to pressure you back to, I need you to be who you were before. But sometimes you might never get back to that. Yeah. And there's a new normal of who you're going to be. It can be difficult. It's scary because you're like, I didn't ask to become a different person.
Or I didn't ask for this lesson.
I didn't ask for this.
I don't want the lesson.
No.
Don't give me the lesson.
I don't want it. Yeah, I don't want it. I didn't ask for this. But also, we were talking about what we get out of this is that instead of hardening our hearts, that it would grow our hearts even bigger. Hopefully we have some wisdom that comes out of it. And it would hopefully, expand our ability to be humans in this world. And I think the biggest thing we're even lacking nowadays is not being able to see each other. And we've hardened ourselves that this is my experience. You would never understand my experience, who I am, and so that's why I'm just going to not understand you, push you away.
Right.
You're my enemy now.
Right.
Where we really need to take the time to see each other and understand, why are you that way?
Yeah.
What made you come to this place? And so that's what we hope, at least.
That's a beautiful way to say
that we can get through these things and to have some expectation outside, on the other side of these difficult experiences that we go through collectively in the world, as human beings in the world, and then also our own worlds and what we're going through personally. So I love everything that you shared.
Me too. I wish y'all could
so
have
much.
an off-camera conversation.
I know. I know. I was like, pause. Let's turn this off real quick. But I'm so grateful for you, and grateful that, not only have I been able to have the honor and privilege for you to be my teacher and to teach me, but also just to also have you as like my family as well, outside of when I was a high schooler, navigating the world. But it's been so beautiful to also have these conversations and, have you be part of my life as well, and vice versa. It's such a privilege and a joy, and I'm grateful that we could have this forever and have this conversation. Yeah, so I'm grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julissa.
I appreciate it. Love you too. Thank you. Thank you, baby. Thank you. Well, thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed.